All right, guys, I want to thank you for joining me for today's Observe and Report podcast. We have a very, very special guest that's going to be joining us today. Listen, we have talked ad nauseum about, the romanticism behind being a police officer, being that tip of the spear. And today I want to talk to someone who truly has been at the tip of the spear. I found this person just kind of cruising the internet and listening to various motivational speeches and lots of content. Just one of those moments where you're just trying to find something to inspire you. And I came across a former Navy SEAL that was given absolute heat to people that were looking to join the Special Forces community. I had to reach out to this man and say, hey, look, can you please come on, answer some questions, talk to those guys in the security community, and just kind of help inspire us and get us on that right track. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome the one, the only Jake Zweig, former U.S. Naval Academy graduate, former Navy SEAL, D1 strength and conditioning coach, survival television star, mentor to hundreds of would-be and potential Special Force candidates. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only Jake Zweig. What is going on, sir?
What's happening, man? Shoot, we killing it. Boy, we killing it, man. You up there in Portland, Oregon. My cousin Tana's up there in Portland with all the kids.
So, I can't believe that I actually have you sitting here on my podcast. It is an absolute honor. I think that I've watched about 100 of your videos. I've just been consuming all of your content. And I got to be honest with you, a man my age doesn't get motivated and inspired very much anymore by a lot of people. But your content has really, really resonated with me. And a lot of it plays into what we deal with in the security community. So I'm just going to let you just give a quick intro bio about yourself. And then, I just want to hit you with some questions and let you drop some heat on these people.
Yeah, brother, man. I left Washington state champion wrestler, golf, football, went to the Naval Academy, played football and wrestled at the Naval Academy. Two things I don't recommend. I tell everybody, man, probably my biggest hurdle was I went to the Naval Academy. I didn't know how to read and write. And everybody kind of doesn't believe me. And then I show them that 240 SAT English and they're like, oh my God. So I just a lot of adversity, come through a lot of adversity, man. I grew up in a super stable household because we owned the house. Everything else was a shit show. You know what I'm saying? And then, my parents did a good job, let me kind of do what I wanted to do. And I tell everybody I grew up in a special operations background, man. We grew up right there at South Fort Lewis, Army Rangers, first group. I grew up trapping coons, running businesses, just being a little rascal pretty much the whole childhood. I went to Naval Academy, didn't know I was going to military school. That makes that kind of hard. But about 3 years later, I was somewhat doing okay. Yeah. And then went and drove ships for 2 years, and I went SEALs for 4 years. Got out, went and got my MBA in Michigan, hated the business world, hated sitting at a desk, went and coached college football for 15 years, made $13,000 or $34,000 a year for 15 years. And then my wife basically was just like, look, your little boys need a dad at home. And my sole reason for existence is raising 3 savages in life. Yeah. And now that I've been out of coaching for 3 years, I'm realizing just how much time I wasn't giving them as young men and kids, but I was raising everybody else's kids. So now, I do my own thing. I'm out here hustling. We about to start selling stem cells. I'm going to tell everybody that. Like, I got a clinic in Virginia Beach. We're about to go high order on getting people help, man. Not going to cost you an arm and a leg, but, shoulders, knees, all orthopedic stuff. I'm trying to get a guy to do some backs, but, the godsend, I got they wanted to replace both my shoulders in 2011, and I got stem cells. So luckily, man, I literally, like, all the stars aligned, and the guy I was talking to about replacing my shoulders was doing stem cells.
Yeah.
And so I got 2 stem cell shots. Needless to say, I don't have no shoulder replacements right now. I just went to Mexico, got my back done. So that's kind of where we at right now. I got 3 kids. I got a wonderful wife that ain't left me yet. I try to do my best every day not to mess that up, but some days I do better than others.
Absolutely. I'll be hitting you up for some of those stem cells. I've got pins in both of my shoulders. I've got a reconstructed wrist and then some pretty bad degenerative disc in my back that are going to only get worse over time. I'm definitely going to hit you up with that. You know,
Dog, hit me up, man. Hit me up because I'll send you out there, man. Right now we in the beginning. They're not. So this is my dude. One of my guys from my buzz class runs the practice. Okay, and he hired a guy to do stem cells. He did my shoulders in 18 again, and like they've been rolling on stem cells for the last 15 years. But yeah, I'll send you out there, man, because we're gonna video the whole thing because we gotta start getting some noise out there about this goodness, man. Like
hey, I'll definitely be one of your test cases. 100%. I'm in.
It ain't even dog, you ain't testing nothing, dog. It's fucking bulletproof. Germany been doing it for 30 years.
I'm in.
Yeah, you know, we in America pay for surgery, pay for medicine. They don't want to give you a little $3,000 shot that cures everything.
Right. Jake, you know, I came across your information, and clearly, you know, you are a former Navy SEAL. You know, one of the things that I find really interesting about your content is that you have all of these, you know, would-be special forces, you know, potential operators who are coming to you and they're trying to get this blueprint in terms of how to achieve that goal. But when you're having the conversation with a lot of these, I call them kids. I mean, I'm 45, so
yep.
They all seem like kids to me. But when you're having this conversation with these guys, you know, a lot of times, even though you're a former Navy SEAL, you're trying to direct them on to different paths. And you have a lot of conversations with people where they're just not really aware of what they're potentially signing up for. And I think that unlike a lot of people in this community, you do a really good job of articulating kind of the, you know, the life that they're potentially signing up for, the difficulty, the grittiness. You talk about the grittiness. Yep. And you always, you know, tell these kids like, hey, you're on the crack pipe. If you think you can run that time, you can swim that time.
Oh, yeah, bro. You know, Damon, let me tell you this one from 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Dog, you ready?
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
Okay. Doctor. 2nd year residency. Talking about I'm going to go Navy SEALs.
How old was he?
26, 27.
Okay.
So this is where it got good. I said, hey man, I said, you're a doctor. I said, what's the oath you take? So he spits out the oath, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what the oath of a Navy SEAL is?
Do nothing but harm.
And he was like, well, yeah, but I think I'll be okay. I said, hey, dude, okay, get your fucking lips off that crack pipe. Like, we can't have this. This is crazy. So what I did, I hooked him up with one of my doctors that's going to a tier 1 surgery unit in the Army.
Yeah. And
I knew he had a bunch more, like just a bunch of other stuff in medical. Like the Army Rangers have a flight surgeon with them when they go down range. SOAR has a flight surgeon. There's a bunch of dudes that are in the special operations community as doctors, right? So we're just trying to redirect him. But I was like, come on, what are we talking about? Your 2nd year of residency, you talking about giving it all up to be a SEAL?
Well, you know, Jake, that's a perfect segue into this question. You know, with social media, with movies over the last, like, say, 5 to 10 years, like clearly Jocko is huge in the podcast community. Mm-hmm. You know, David Goggins is huge in terms of like, you know, utilizing all of his speeches for motivational speeches. Yep. You know, you're bringing up a perfect example of a man who's a doctor. He's in his residency. He's probably making, you know, well into 6 figures right now at the beginning of his career. Why is there such a romanticism around the SEALs in this day and age, and the desire to just like be at the tip of the spear? You've had conversations with people that have, you know, amazing degrees. You had one guy that I think was like I don't know if he was a physicist or something to do with like.
Oh, wait now. I'll throw my dude out there. Z Kong is my dude now. He got double PhD from Stanford. Okay. I'm not mad at him because he going officers in the Army. He leaves in like a month. Okay. I'm not mad at him. He just want a different path. Okay. I would lose my mind if my dude was talking about enlisting.
Right.
He made a run at SEALs. He went to SOAS, okay, didn't get selected. Now he's a going Army officer. He's gonna be awesome.
Well,
But that's a dude that got he turned down. He making $400,000 a year.
But what do you think it is that makes that so alluring to someone? Like, I don't think that you could have somebody give up that to go be a, you know, I don't know, a high level executive protective agent. What is it about the SEALs that has people willing to put a $400,000 career on hold and just risk everything?
So Damon, I related back to, like, you know, Romanticism. The root word is Rome. Okay. Why did all the rich women want to sleep with the gladiators when the gladiators were slaves? Because they were the apex of warriors. Right? So at the end of the day, the gladiators had something that even the rich people didn't have. Right? They had all the women in Rome trying to sleep with them. Okay. Now I'm breaking it down to its, you know, little tiny parts.
Most primal level, yeah.
Everybody believes that them going to become a Navy SEAL is going to make them somebody bigger than they already are.
Do you agree with that? Do you think, as somebody who was a Navy SEAL, do you agree that by giving up that $400,000 career, and even if he was successful and became a Navy SEAL, do you think that makes him bigger than what he was doing in that career before?
Absolutely not. Like, he's a fucking doctor, bro. And he came out of a blue collar household. He came out of nothing. Like, nobody in his family's been to college, and he's a doctor, right? Like, you talk about, like, I talk about generational wealth, generational wealth building. Okay. My kids are getting raised differently than I got raised. Okay. I made a huge jump, but I expect my kids to make a massive leap. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so you think about a guy, like, in my family, I got some really successful people in my family, but, like, a lot of my family looks to me, okay, to set the role model. Like, look, I got young kids, you know, I got nieces and nephews and cousins that are looking to me to, like, okay, that's where we want to be, right? Like, hey, how do I get through this college stuff? And that's the whole thing. Like, I'm trying to make my whole family better.
Yeah.
So I don't think personally, like, for me, like, Navy SEAL, you put that title on, okay, cool. Has it helped me? Yeah. But did it change me? No. Did Naval Academy change me? No. You call up Tony Harris, my best friend from first grade. He's going to tell you that dude been the same dude since sixth grade.
Right. Yeah. You know, we see a lot of this in our industry. You know, yeah, before I even reached out to you, like I said, I had probably listened and watched about 100 episodes of your content. And so I'm going through this life change of getting motivated to get back in shape. And I've been on this thought process of being a better officer and providing better service to my clients. And so when I started watching your content and kind of, you know, digesting a lot of your content, your words really resonated with me. So every day I'm listening to your videos. I'm watching your reviews of class. What is it? 234.
Yeah. I got it. Like I was telling you about the studio thing. As soon as I get the studio up, I'm going to start 3 channels. So I'm going to start, I got this channel. I'm doing a major house renovation right now. I should have been videoing the whole thing, but I didn't. And then, but I'm about to build some big ponds in my yard, and I got to get some big machinery to do it. So I'm going to have a pond channel. I'm going to have a article review channel, and then I'm going to have a video reaction channel. But
well, Jake, so I'm literally going like on a 2-week binge of everything Jake Zweig before I even reached out to you. And then in one of your episodes, the guy calls in, you guys are doing your Zoom session, and you're like, yeah, you need to have a gritty job. You're like, what do you do for work? And he goes, I'm an armed security guard. You go, yeah, that's bullshit. You ain't doing nothing. I'm just sitting there like, oh, fuck, man. He just like killed me.
Hey, Damon, tell me the truth, right? Armed security guard?
Well, like, I'm in Portland. It's a little bit different here.
Here's what I'm going to say, though. How many hours are you running a day?
Yeah, 0. None.
It's not gritty.
No.
Now,
no.
I'm not saying it's not dangerous.
Right.
I didn't say go get a dangerous job.
You said a gritty job.
Security guard in Portland, Seattle, dangerous.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Rules not in your favor.
None.
Okay. Liberal.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, hell, they let a bunch of homeless people take over Seattle for like 4 months. Then they had to debate whether they were going to make a move.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not saying that. To me, gritty don't mean dangerous.
Right.
Gritty to me means carrying bales of roofing material up that ladder in 110-degree heat all summer long. That's gritty to me, right?
Yeah, and I think that, like, the way that I was wanting to tie in the romanticism of the SEALs, I see a lot of that in our community with the romanticism of being a police officer. Like, I don't want to get into a situation where I'm talking about how much money I make, but I make a very good living, and I serve a purpose, for the people of Portland. And you're aware of Portland if you have family here.
Absolutely.
The police officers are not going to show up. They're not coming for anything that we deal with in terms of shoplifting, theft, low-level assaults, any sort of harassment, things like that. The cops aren't going to show up. So in any endeavor or area where I'm working, I feel a lot of pride in knowing that those people, whether it's the employees or whether it's the customers or the everyday average citizen, I take a lot of pride in knowing that for the time that I'm there, someone is there to respond to the situation when it happens. That's not always the case here in Portland. But
David, let me ask you this, bro. Let me ask you this, because I've been saying, so I got a couple cops that work with me right now. They're awesome.
Yeah.
One of them was in New York City, got jacked up. Okay. I want to know, because I think you're in a thankless job, right? Like,
absolutely.
Like, I think you're in one of those jobs where, like, anytime you actually have to help, you're rolling dice on your future with the law.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, like, I was just in California with that crazy, you can't detain a shoplifter.
Yep.
You cannot detain a shoplifter, and they wondering why all of the businesses are leaving California. Like, what more do you want to know? You can't detain a shoplifter.
Yeah.
Have you seen them dudes on the bikes with the stick riding through the aisles in a trash bag? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I mean, we deal with it. I mean, we have a situation.
You're dealing with the same thing in Portland.
Yeah, we have a situation here where it all comes from the top. So we have a district attorney that is basically an activist, and he believes that people who are homeless, people who are oppressed or disadvantaged, that they should not be held accountable. They should not be prosecuted. So we're in a situation where the stores, any individual grocery store or big box store, they don't want the security to go hands-on or detain, because we're responsible for holding that person until the police show up. Well, the police won't show up because they know if they come and make an arrest, when they take them to the county jail, the sheriff, who is in alignment with the district attorney, he won't house them. And if he does house them, then the district attorney won't prosecute. So you have this circular situation where it all comes back to one group, which would be the store, doesn't want to have a hands-on situation because, like you said, they're taking all of the responsibility and the risk of being liable if there's a lawsuit, and the police aren't going to show up, so on and so forth. So we're dealing with literally the exact same situations that they're having in Seattle, the exact same situations that they're having in California. And really, in a lot of ways, Portland is becoming more of the forefront because it's just spun completely out of control. But
what's going to be interesting, Damon? What's going to be interesting? So it's 2023.
Yep.
In 2033, Portland, Seattle, Summer California is going to be lawless.
It's going to be gone. Yeah.
It's going to be lawless, because I'm telling you right now, you're raising a group of kids, let's say between 6th grade and 12th grade. Really, let's say between 1st grade and like 7th grade, that are seeing all this stuff go on, and they're going to start participating. And by the time they get to high school, they're going to be doing real crimes.
We already have street takeovers where they take over the bridges and everything.
You got flash mobs going on. You got, like the flash looting mobs. You already got it coming. But what I'm saying is, so I got in trouble for saying the pussification of America, right? Like, I call it SAA, right? Soft ass America. That's what it is. SAA, right? Like, and the problem is when you get away from the fundamentals of society and what's right and wrong, and you start justifying a homeless person's right to steal or a disadvantaged youth's right to steal. I mean, shit, I stole a lot of shit in high school. I'll tell you, if they had this shit going on like this, you'd have seen your boy pulling up with a dump truck. You can't arrest me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd have had a Jimmy Carter mask on, and I'd have been backing dump trucks up to Nordstrom's. Okay.
Break, yeah.
But my thing is, once those people roll out of high school and they have to get a job, and they're like, yo, I can go steal Nikes at the Nike outlet because they just closed the Nike outlet right there in Beaverton. That used to be my spot, right?
Yeah.
They just closed it because it's been getting hit so hard, right? I can go roll Nikes at the outlet and I can make $400 a day, $700 a day. I only got to roll it once a week. I'm good.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm saying. And then the other thing is, the cycle of crime. You start stealing gum, then you start stealing shoes, then you start stealing cars. Pretty soon you stealing lives and money. Right?
Well, I've kind of made that same point, is that, as the stores continue to close, the desire for the people that are living that criminal lifestyle to meet that need, it doesn't go away. So if there's no Walmart, there's no Nike, there's no Fred Meyer, then the next logical thing is your home. And I don't think a lot of these people that are voting for these policies understand that sooner or later, the knock is going to be at your front door. And at that point, it's going to be way too late.
So here's what I want to tell you. I want to share a story with you, Damon, because this is just mint money. Okay. Sure. So you know my background.
Yep.
When bad stuff starts happening, everybody starts calling me. Okay. So during COVID, I lived in a nice neighborhood in Champaign, Illinois. And probably about month 3 of the lockdown, robberies started happening. Okay. And you would say, man, that's kind of odd, right? Like everybody's at home, but the robbers were out robbing because they didn't have a job.
Yeah.
Okay. But really, I think it was because they saw an opportunity, right? They're like, shit, there ain't no police out here. Ain't nobody watching nothing. I go rob anybody I want right now.
Yep.
Okay. So, like, I tell everybody I don't own any guns, but don't come to my house acting stupid. Okay. I'm in Texas.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just tell you right now, I'm in Texas. And so the neighbor and me on my whole street were the only guys that had any tools.
Yeah.
So I came out to go to work one day, and there were some two dudes in the bushes in front of his house. So as I was going back in the house to get one of my hammers, I called them. And by the time I got out, they were speeding away. But they had hit my dude's house, the other neighborhood up the street, maybe 2 miles up the street. They had hit that neighborhood consistently every night. And so I was trying to explain to people that, that's what happens when you don't have no food to eat.
Yeah.
When you don't have a source of income and you got to feed 3 kids, you're going to do what you have to do.
Absolutely.
And that's the part of it where when you normalize the crime, all you're doing is really escalating the effects of crime on your city.
100%. 100%.
Like the one thing I would say is are your housing prices still going through the roof?
They've stalled a little bit only because the interest rate is so high. So It's kind of cooled the market a little bit. But, a year ago is when I bought my house, and I think that we got locked in at 3.2, and it's well over 7 now.
Yeah, it's 7 or 8. But it's going to be interesting, Damon, because like I tell people, man, some of this stuff I'm seeing, like that's why I live in Texas, bro.
Yeah.
You come to my house right now, you try to do some shit, the hearse going to come pick you up in about an hour. Police going to give me some more bullets for my hammer.
Absolutely.
And they're going to be like, have a nice day, sir.
Yep. Have a great one.
Have a nice day.
Jay,
hey, man, good job.
I want to ask you a question. When you are working with prospective special force entrants, right?
Yep.
And you're trying to get them to understand about the differences in paths. I mean, you talk about how in the Army there's 100,000 special forces opportunities.
Yep.
And in the Air Force, my former brother-in-law is very high ranking in the combat controllers, but you talk about in the Air Force, there's 100 to maybe 115 spots available for special forces.
There's 100, and so in the Air Force, there's 180 active duty PJs.
And then you talk about in
top to bottom, there's probably 500 people in now special operations. You got the whole SOAR division, right? Of Pavlos and pilots. Take out the pilots, guys on the ground is about 500.
And then you talk about the Navy SEALs and maybe 1,000 total.
No, it's about 4,000 with EOD and Swig. So you got about 4,000, 4,500 total.
When I hear you talk to people, and clearly you've lived this lifestyle, you're around it, you've been immersed in it. Why do you think that people have such a hard time accepting when you tell them that you can take these different paths, specifically Army Ranger on the way to CAG and Delta Force? Why are they so resistant to hearing that from you?
So I just today I sat down with one of my West Point dudes. We had a philosophical conversation about this. Okay. So I think that this generation right now might be the most delusional generation in the history of the world. Okay. And the delusion comes from social media. All right. And so I liken it to when I was a kid, when you were a kid, you watched football on TV and you dreamed of being a football player. Let's say for the Seahawks, Joe Nash was my guy. Okay.
Yep.
Joe Nash was an all-pros no tackle. I wore 72 for Joe Nash. I envisioned being Joe Nash. Okay. The problem is I didn't get to see Joe Nash every day on Instagram. I didn't get to follow Joe Nash on YouTube. I just knew Joe Nash was in the NFL. I didn't know any of the steps that Joe Nash took to get to the NFL. So I didn't go on some like crack smoking high where I watched Dan Blitzerian every day on YouTube with all these women, and I just determined I'm Dan Blitzerian.
Right.
I'm going, you know what? I'm fucking Dan Blitzerian today. Well, dude, where are your women? I'm working on that, but I'm going to be Dan Blitzerian. You know, and you're like, come on, bro. Like, so like we talked about it today. Social media, if I could do one thing, it would be to blow up all the social media. And everybody says, well, you're a hypocrite. You're on social media. I said, I'm a 51-year-old man now. Right. Social media don't affect me. I'm trying to put out goodness. Okay. Right. But if I had to give up social media to shut all the social media down, I absolutely would.
Yeah. And I see that a lot in your content where you're trying to tell people that, you know, I try to make the connection with what you're talking about with those two diverging paths to get to the same point.
So you talk about the two diverging paths, right?
Yeah.
I tell people I didn't give a shit about the Navy SEALs. Like I didn't get SEALs out of the academy. I was pissed, but I was like, I'll get it later. But if they had came to me and said, hey, Jake, man, you want to go in the Army and be a fucking infantry officer and go Army Ranger Green Beret? I wouldn't even thought about it. I'd be like, oh, sign my name. I'm out. Deuces. Right? But I grew up on an Army base, and I want to be Army Ranger Green Beret. Like, I want to be Mr. T for fucking 30 years. Even when I was in the SEAL teams, I want to be Mr. T. Okay? And so the diverging paths, but here's the problem you have. Kid on his phone watching Zero Dark 30. And what they don't realize is, so you go watch, you know, Zero Dark 30, you watch any of the movies on, you know, any of that stuff, Lone Survivor, all that stuff. They're showing you the 1% of action. That's what they're showing you in the movies. Zero Dark 30 had some build up to it, but they're showing you the 45 minutes on target. Every one of them SEALs on target had like 6 to 10 years in the SEAL teams.
Right.
They had 4 to 15 combat deployments. They had like, you had some guys on target that had been in the Navy for 30 years.
Right.
And they don't show you like 6 years of intensive training, hard work to get to that one shot that killed Osama bin Laden. They just show you, oh, dude showed up, popped Osama in the head. Because, dog, you know how many people tell me, oh, man, I just want to get to the X and start shooting people. I'm like, bro, do you understand how much the price to pay is for that helicopter ride?
Right.
Well, what do you mean? Like, you don't just get on a helicopter and just show up and start shooting people. There's a massive chain of money that's attached to your ass and effort that's going to allow you to get on that helicopter. And so I did a bad job the last year of talking to people that I normally wouldn't talk to. That's why I got some fucking the axe murdering out there, right? So I have a rule. You got to run a 9-minute and swim a 9-minute to talk to me. Yep. And I kind of got away with that. And I got on the phone with some dudes and I lost my shit, right? Unless you got a college degree like my kid from Columbia talking about enlisting in the Army with a Columbia degree in finance. Like, shut up. We're not doing that.
I've watched that video.
Yeah, like, we're not doing that. But, like, for a normal person, but I was getting on the phone with dudes that, you know, they running like 15-minute mile and a half. And they talking like, shut up. But then I realized my rule. I got away from my principles because I only mentor the best. And so you talk about the diversion past the Army and Navy. It's just motherfucker on that pipe, bro. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm going to be a SEAL.
I'm going to Dev Group.
I'm going to Dev Group, man. Dog, what's your athletic background? Oh, man, I never ran in my life. And then they always bring up that dude, the average, it says, I think it's called The Average SEAL, that book that talks about the dude that never did sports. He showed up at Buds and he made it. And I'm like, look, man, there's always one in a million. Okay. There's always, and really, you talking about one in like 300 million. There's always one in like 300 million. Because everybody right now is hazing me because of the high school. High school stat is 1 out of 200 dudes are going to get out of Buds. If you're straight out of high school in the SEAL training, 1 out of 200. I'm going to be that one. What's your athletic background? Oh, I ran cross country in high school. Okay, well, hey, go ahead, because cross country dudes don't make it. So go ahead and hit this right here because you smoking crack, motherfucker.
Jake, you know, you have an entire PDF that helps people get ready for selection, helps people get primed for what they're going to be dealing with when they get just to the selection process of going through Buds. I want to ask you a question. How can the average person, now clearly my podcast is geared towards security guards, security officers, people who are working in that field. How can the average person that is past that time, you have always said in some of your other videos, hey, that ship has sailed. When people reach out to you and they're, 36, 37, and you're explaining to
42.
them, you're explaining to them the path that it's going to take you. Like, it's going to be 5 years before you get to the teams. How does the average person, I want to ask you this, how does the average person incorporate understanding, let's just say the average person, the average guard is not smoking the pipe, okay? So somebody like me, how do we incorporate that military mindset and being selection ready in terms of just overhauling our physical fitness, overhauling our attitude towards our work environment, being a professional? How can we incorporate what you're asking those people who are going into that environment? How can we incorporate that into what we're doing?
So I tell a lot of people, man, like I think there's a couple principles to physical fitness, right? You're in a security guard business. You got to be able to run. Okay. If you can't run, you got to be able to ride a bike. All right. And I ride stationary bike. I run a little bit, ride stationary bike. The next thing is physical strength, right? I move weight around. I like kettlebells and that stuff. I love it. I just haven't got into it because my elbows are fucked up right now.
Yep.
But swimming is my go-to. Okay. And I tell everybody, if you got the PDF and you swim 10 100s or even 10 50s 5 times a week, it's like a 10 50s will take me 10 minutes to do the workout.
Yeah.
My level of fitness is just astronomical. And, like we just talked about it, you ain't going against somebody that's in physical fit condition. Most of the time you whooping some damn 16-year-old's butt who's shoplifting. A 23-year-old kid who's on heroin that weighs 100 pounds.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Your biggest concern is getting stuck by a needle.
Yeah.
So I tell everybody, but like I try to get my workout in the morning. Okay. As soon as I get up, get it done. I cook breakfast for the kids. And then as soon as they leave for school, I try to get my workout in. Because I'm like Jocko. If you don't do it in the daytime, like today, so I'm old. I run every other day. Okay. And if I don't run every other day, the second day is like tomorrow would be a nightmare for me. So I told my wife I got to go run. But I had eaten lunch. Okay. So I added 1.5 minutes to my mile time today. I wanted to quit the whole time. I wanted just to and I got back here and I'm like, bro, that's your fault. You ran at 4:30 today. You didn't run at 7 in the morning when you normally run because it wouldn't have been bad this morning. Right. It's just something you got to do every day, man. You know, and I tell people you're 45, bro. At 45, I was still rolling.
Yeah.
You get to 48, 49. It took me 9 months to run a mile because if you get off of it, it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, it's gone. It ain't coming back either. It might take you 2 years to get back into somewhat shape.
Yeah. Jake, you've had a very candid conversation with a lot of prospective Black officers. I know that you take a lot of pride in the fact that you have helped get into the military and also helped to succeed a lot of young Black new officers. And one of the conversations that you've had, you have a very famous video that talks about some of the issues and the hazing that you went through when you first got into the teams. And you had a conversation with a guy the other day. I don't remember exactly what the start of the conversation was, but you were explaining to him when he gets into this environment, how he can't, I think it was the kid from Chicago. You were like, when you get there, you can't take things personal. You can't let these people get you in a situation where you get off your square. And as I was listening to you talk to him about this, you know, I went into the military at 18, 17 and a half, I think 18. And as silly as it sounds, no one ever told me that. And I spent a lot of my time early in the military getting angry and getting frustrated.
Yep.
And when my time came up to re-enlist, I couldn't get out fast enough because I didn't feel like I fit in or feel like I was wanted. And
absolutely
you
didn't feel appreciated
as well. Yeah.
Didn't
So
feel appreciated.
How, when I look at guys in the security industry and then also young Black men, young Black women who are getting into law enforcement, I see this as an issue. How do you explain to people from your perspective that nuance of being Black in the teams, that nuance of being Black in these situations, and not allowing things to weigh on you or take it personal to where you're not successful? Like, what do you think about that?
So, Damon, I'm going to spin it on you, bro, because I don't think it's a Black issue. Okay. It's a socioeconomic issue. It's where were you raised? How were you raised? Okay. I was raised by a drunk truck driver. Then I went into the Naval Academy, which is genteel as fuck, but I'm still a drunk truck driver. Okay. And so I tell everybody, I fought with it for a long time. And then around 2007, I was sending my first African American to the SEAL teams, to Buds. And I was really pondering, like, you can't be like me. You can't give the drunk truck driver response, which is I sent a couple dudes to the dentist because I took the teeth out the front of the mouth, right? And so I sat and I pondered and I thought, and now we just call it racial judo, right? But it's not. I mean, I got some white dudes in the military that struggle just as bad as the Black dudes do because they came from hillbilly West Virginia. And they don't fit in, and everybody banging them because they're from West Virginia and da. It's the same thing, right? So I love the racial judo because as soon as I say racial judo, I got to use their energy against them to win the judo match, right?
Yeah.
And so we got this gangster saying, like, it's as clean as it comes, man. Someone says something crazy to you, your only response is, man, Joe, glad to know who the bigots are. Really appreciate it. That's it.
And keep it pushing.
Keep it pushing, right? Because what happens is, instead of you becoming an angry Black man, like, Doug, I got charged with being an angry Black man in my SEAL teams all the time.
Yeah.
Because you would call me the N-word, and I'm from Washington State. I'm fucking you up. That's a straight pass to ass whooping.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, shit, of my dudes in the teams right now, there's fucking, I'm not going to say how many there are, but 5 of them have been called the N-word.
Yeah.
All 5 of them use some racial judo. Hey, Bill, glad to know who the bigots are. None of them had a problem. Not one of them had an incident. Boom. 3 of them, the platoon turned on that dude and said, what are you doing, bro? We don't act like that.
Yeah.
Okay? But that's what I had to, like, that's the mentorship piece, and that's the, don't take it personal. Like, let it go. Dog, I'm going to tell you, man, my last 9 months in the teams, bro, I read everything. Edie DeBose. Like, I was reading everybody. Malcolm X. Everybody, man. And all I was doing was I just kept getting madder and madder and madder and madder. And I could have ended it at the beginning and just said, hey, man, glad to know who the biggest are. Hey, Keith, I love you, man. Glad to know who the biggest are, big dog. You know, and it would have been over because no one would have put up with it. But all I did was I was like, yo, Keith, I'm about to choke you unconscious.
Jake, how important is it for people to both find mentors and be mentors? You talk a lot to your perspective. I don't want to call them clients, but prospective entrants, and you tell them, hey, find someone who's 5 years ahead of you, someone that's 10 years ahead of you, and someone that's 20 years ahead of you. How important is it for people in any industry to apply that to what they're looking to accomplish? And then also, how important is it for those people when they get to that 20-year mark to be a mentor for someone else?
So I'm gonna take it in two parts. The first part is it is the most important thing that you can do in your life is have effective mentorship. Okay. The number one thing, the number one reason I failed in the SEAL teams, I didn't have mentorship. If I had the mentor that I know I would have went and got, I wouldn't have had no problems. I've been a rock star. Okay. So mentorship is the key. The whole reason my coaching career went well, I had mentorship the whole time because I learned a lesson at business school about mentorship. All right. Now, the second part of that is I am forcing mentorship. So about 7 years ago, I realized like I can't mentor everybody. And then I started pushing mentorship down to the lowest level. So like I'm going to give you an example. I have a chain, unfortunately, I have a chain of people at the Naval Academy and at West Point. Okay. I have one person at Air Force Academy right now, but I have a chain. I have had somebody at the Naval Academy or West Point for the last 23 years. Okay. But now my freshman at West Point right now is mentoring a senior, but he's got him when he was a junior who's going to West Point next year. My two freshmen at West Point, at Naval Academy, I got a whole bunch of kids at Naval Academy. One of my females at Naval Academy is now mentoring a junior female in high school. So what I'm doing is I am forcing them to mentor, but what I'm really doing is I'm training them how to mentor, how to be mentors. And then what I'm doing is I'm setting the expectation for that junior in high school because she knows damn well when she gets to the Naval Academy, she's going to have to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
And so like now I'm more about building the mentor than I am actually the mentorship. I still have a bunch of people I mentor, but like I just gave you an example. The doctor called me wanting to be a SEAL. Gary is an awesome dude. He's killing it. He's a great mentor, but I sent that guy to Gary. Gary had a conversation with him. So now Gary is pushing his mentorship.
Yeah.
But that's all. I mean, I tell everybody like John Maxwell has some just absolute gems. You are as a leader, you are only measured by the leaders you make. I don't care how well you can lead an organization. I care how well you can build leadership in your organization. And I'm a true believer of that. Like, I don't care. Like some people tell me, oh, I'm the best leader in the world. I'm like, oh, how many leaders have you made? Right. And an example I'm going to throw out there, and people hate me for it, Bill Belichick. If Bill is the best football coach in the history of mankind, explain to me why not one of his head coaches has been successful.
Yeah.
Not one. Okay. I would argue that Bill probably ain't the best football coach. He had the best quarterback in the history of the game. Okay. And it's going to be interesting to see because I want to know how many losing seasons are they going to be able to take before he gets fired.
Before he gets the hook, right? Yeah.
Right. But like, if he was so good, like everybody, like some people, I'm a realist, bro. And I got science and math background. If you're that fucking good, how come you took Tom Brady in the 6th fucking round? Right? If the guys at San Francisco are that good, how come they took their starting quarterback as the last pick in the draft?
Yeah.
Okay. And he's a banger. Okay. Now, I will say this. I'm not saying that I got some answer for quarterbacks because quarterbacks by far is the hardest position in the league. Okay. It's the hardest position to draft for. It's the hardest position to coach. It's the hardest position, period, because there's so many factors go into a quarterback being successful in the league. Okay? But I'm just going to say it, like, you're measured by the leaders you make, not by how well you lead. Okay?
Jake, I want to ask you one more question before I get you off here on the podcast. What is one piece of advice that you would give guys working in this industry in terms of dealing with adversity? And what I mean by that, you were talking earlier about how when you're dealing with these prospective operators, how so many of them are saying, yeah, I just want to get in. I want to get my paws dirty. I want to get into the mud and I want to go and I want to shoot people. We have a huge problem within the security industry of people looking for problems and looking for fights. People that are wanting to find themselves in some sort of situation so that they can react or respond. As someone who has been in, a position where you literally are at the tip of that spear, I don't think that a lot of people, specifically in the security industry, understand what comes with that in terms of what it's like to have someone shooting back at you or potentially utilizing a weapon or a knife against you. I think that a lot of people are delusional as to what it means to be in a situation where you're potentially going to have to answer to the law on whether or not you made the right decision. What would be one piece of advice that you could give security professionals in terms of looking for trouble, looking for action, those people that are wanting to get involved in something?
Damon, I'm about to drop some fire on here, brother.
Do it. Hit them.
So in the SEAL teams, you have the same kind of mantra, right? You still have the same problem. A lot of dudes fighting, a lot of craziness, right? Non-war times, okay? So when I was in the SEAL teams, 99, I think it was, maybe 98 when I first checked in, we had a little stand down. There was a guy from Dev Group, okay, SEAL, who was down here in San Antonio doing the medical course, okay? They were getting some training down here, doing something down here. They were at a bar. There was a 5 foot tall, 100-pound dude. I'm not gonna say nothing else. I'm just 5 foot tall, 100-pound dude, bellied up to the bar with a beer. Okay. The SEAL was like, "Hey man, scoot over." The dude was like, "No, I'm here at the bar. I'm drinking my beer. Leave me alone." So the SEAL, trying to kind of post up for his boys, pushed him. Before anybody knew what happened, the dude took a pocket knife out. A folding pocket knife with a 3-inch blade. Okay? Popped him 3 times under his right armpit. His left armpit. He was standing on the left side of it. Popped him in right behind his arm, right in his armpit, 3 times. Okay? They got the knife. Dude already turning blue.
Wow.
So they had a PJ with him. He cracked a beer bottle, cracked his chest, but could not get the artery. He bled to death right there in that bar room, on that floor, and died. Okay? I always remember that. When you get too brave, you get killed.
Wow.
Okay. And then I'm going to follow it up with another one that really drove this home, because I tell everybody, I don't care how bad you are, your ass can get killed quick. Okay. And it's the same thing in the security business. It's everywhere. Okay. So we had a football player at New Hampshire. Dude was beating his wife in a parking lot in Colorado. Football player wanted to be noble, wanted to go over there and help. Dude pulled out a knife and killed the fuck out of him in 2 seconds. Right? I tell everybody, it'll be a cold day in hell before you see me run into some shit, unless it's some really shit I need to run into.
Yes, sir.
Now, if I can walk into it and I can have the advantage, like if someone was like trying to kidnap some kids on the side of the road and I gotta go into action, I'm gonna go into action. Okay.
Absolutely.
But if I'm like, here's another one. This is a great one. So I took my kids to football game, Army UTSA. last week. And I was explaining to my kids on the way out, I got a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and an 8-year-old, how after football games, people drunk and they fight. Okay. So I was telling my kids, we were walking across the parking lot. It was dark. I said, listen, man, we got to keep our head on the swivel. Our first course of action is to run. Okay. If they drunk, they probably ain't gonna be able to run too well.
Yeah.
Our second course of action is you guys are going to run and I'm going to deal with the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. But at no time are you to stop running. Right. So we had to talk. I kid you not. I cannot make this up. So we were getting close. So we were walking diagonally across the parking lot. We're getting close to the sidewalk. Okay. And we were one row away. We were on the row next to the street. So there was a row of cars between us and the street, but we were nearing the end of the parking lot. It was starting to open up. There was some holes in the cars, right? And all of a sudden, some drunk dude started fighting, started screaming, come here, motherfucker, come here. And my middle son, who's massively observant, was like, run. But the other two kids were still playing around.
Yeah.
So I grabbed everybody and we ducked in behind the truck. And I was like, look here. I just told you about this situation. Both my kids started getting wide-eyed, right? And I was just like, look, you think I'm telling you this shit because it's not true? And they all got big-eyed. And then we waited. I went back a row. We went back into the parking lot, waited for those guys to get all the way down to the street. There was cops, every 30 feet. But that, like I tell people, bruh, the cop got to get to you to help him. Like you could be dead by the time it's all done.
Yeah.
And I got 3 kids. Like I'm watching 3 kids. They ain't going to be able to protect themselves.
Yeah.
And so I tell everybody, like, before you go do some dumb shit or put yourself in some dumb shit, ask yourself, is it worth your life? Right? Like right now, right now in front, someone's stealing my car, probably ain't going out there. Okay. Now they may get hit from the second story, but I'm not going out there.
Yes,
okay.
Sir. Yeah.
Someone trying to break in my house, we going to war.
Yeah.
Right. I heard there was a Delta dude on Sean Ryan's podcast the other day. He said there's 2 different types of awareness for me. There's personal awareness when I'm by myself, and then there's family awareness when I'm with everybody else. And he said, when I'm with everybody else, I am the protector. I have a lot more tools in my tool belt than I do when I'm just worried about myself. And so as a security guard, as a police officer, as a human being, as a person in society, it's the same formula, right? And I got so many of these stories that to me, like having been in that street environment a little bit, fighting as a kid. I didn't grow up in the streets. We just went and fought in the streets a lot in Tacoma. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah.
I watched 2 black girls get knocked the fuck out in Fall River, Massachusetts. Okay. So there was a big black dude, and both of the black women were a little bit portly. And we were coming out of the bar, Jake's in Fall River, Mass. And I never forget it. Like, it was right after the bar let out, the shit jumping off. And then one of the black girls was just fucking screaming at this dude. And I was like, yo, it's time to go. I'm out. So we were like all the way across the street, down the road a little bit. And, I don't know about you, but the rules in the street, if you acting like a dude, you can get treated like a dude.
Absolutely.
And I remember she swung her purse and hit him. The one girl was behind him, swung her purse and hit him. He turned around and knocked her out cold. She was on the ground twitching. So then the girlfriend rushed in and he caught her with an uppercut, knocked her out cold. Okay. And I remember one of my boys started headed that way. I said, hey, bro, this ain't our problem. But you're not going over there. And as soon as I said it, some dude ran from across the street screaming, you don't hit women. Homeboy pulled out a pistol, put it right to that dude's head. Said, what you gonna do about it?
Yep.
And then my boy looked at me. We was already boogieing, right? Like I was already like, yo, it's time to go. We out. And I got another one for you because now I'm on Fall River Math. No, I got another one, Damon. This is real talk, right? I think your dudes need to hear this because I tell people, okay, we are at a black event at Brown University. Ivy League, Brown University.
The last place you would expect something to happen.
The last place you would expect anything to pop off.
Yeah.
Okay. And I got two. I'm gonna give you two of them. Okay, because one is real poignant. So we in there, and I don't like clubs and I don't like dancing. So I was kind of hanging out by the door, just cherry picking some girls coming in, right? We hadn't been there maybe 15 minutes, and I saw a couple Jamaican dudes roll in. They ain't look like the type of dudes that should be in the party, right? But I was like, yeah, whatever. Not 5 minutes later, pop, 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 pop. Doug, I was already down the stairs and out the building. Okay. And I remember we had parked like kind of near the little hall that we were in. So as we were getting in the car, I saw the two Jamaican dudes running with the guns. And I had me and these two noobs. I said, look, lay down, get down in the car, bro. Get down, don't be in it. So we was all laying down in the car, right? The two Jamaican dudes got in the car in front of us and sped off. And they were like, yo. And I was like, I was at the door. They could have saw me, and we went home.
Yeah.
I ain't talked to the police. I ain't do nothing. Because it was crazy. We got out of there so fast. So Brown is on top of a big hill. It's up on a hill. And you can see all of Providence, and you can see all of the police cars coming. I want to say they shot like 5 people that night.
Jesus.
Okay? Like, you never expect it, right? You never expect it, man. Not in a million years would you expect to be at Brown University taking fire at a dance. I forgot the other one. I got some CTE going on. The other one was massive too. Same kind of situation, right? Like, you're just going about your business and all hell break loose and you're not prepared, But like, my thing is, why would you put yourself in that situation?
100%.
Like I tell people, you a security guard, okay? If 4 dudes in ski masks show up with shotties and you're protecting a Walmart, okay?
Leave.
Like, or like even better yet, you're protecting a CVS that's closed.
Yeah.
Bro, that ain't your battle.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, shit. You talk about that shit that happened up in Wisconsin with the old boy and the gun, right? There was so much craziness going on. Like, you remember they were trying to say the dude with a pistol did wrong. I'm like, the dude had a pistol. Like, what are you talking about? He got shot. And then the other thing I'm always going to tell you, you in Portland, bro. Liability is a motherfucker in Portland, Washington State, California.
Jake, that's one of the issues. I have a small following on YouTube, and constantly I'm arguing with guards from all across the country, and they're like, oh, you're always preaching de-escalation, you're always preaching disengagement. And I'm like, look, we have a district attorney that will literally hang us in the public square if we do something to a homeless person or a drug addict.
So like you're saying, Damon, I'm in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. A neighbor shot 2 dudes in the middle of the street who were robbing his neighbor's house. Sir, probably shouldn't have done that. He went to jail. Community uprising. He was out of jail in 2 days. No trial, nothing. Go home.
Yeah.
Okay. You're in, like, I tell people, man, you better know where you're playing games at.
Absolutely.
You're in Washington State, you're in Portland, you're in Cali. Like, you're rolling dice, bro. Like, I mean, shoot, dude shot somebody in the front yard going out of his house or coming into his house. They said because he wasn't in the house, they charged him with first-degree murder.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
The whole rule, like, they got to be across the threshold. Dude got killed on the steps of his house, and they said, no, you're going to jail. You got charged first-degree murder. So, like, I tell everybody, like, I make a lot of decisions based on my kids and my family, and I can't help them if I'm sitting in jail for 18 years. Because trust me, if I go to prison for 18 years, when I come out, this country ain't going to be the same. Like,
Well,
You
Jake,
know,
we're gonna cut it right there. I want to tell you first off, before I get off here, I want to tell you that watching your content, it makes me really wish that I would have come across somebody like you when I was going in, and what you're doing for all of these young people, young men and young women. I've seen all the conversations and the direction of the ladies that you're putting in. I just want to tell you, you are doing a great thing for this country. You're doing a great thing for our community, and you're doing a great thing for the community, the greater community in general. So I just want to tell you, I'm sure you hear this all the time. Um, Hefty respect to you, sir, for
I
what you're
appreciate.
doing.
Thank you, man. Listen, I tell everybody one of the biggest reasons I do this shit is because I didn't have it either.
100%.
And I know if I had a little bit of it, I'd have been so much different. I'd have had so much, I'm not gonna say more success. I just would have had a better time.
Yeah.
Because I love the military, man. Like I tell everybody, man, like the worst thing I did was get out.
Yeah.
I tell her I love the military. Like it was who I was. It was my life. It was awesome. I just, I didn't have mentorship. I didn't have guidance like we're talking now, right? Like, but see, that's the difference, right? It's 2023. You didn't have access to nobody in 1990.
Nope.
2000. Even in 2000. YouTube started in 2006.
I think it was 2007 or 8, actually.
Yeah, like I got a real early video, 2011, I think was my first video I put up. And it's like that's why I do it, man. Like I tell everybody, like I'm an Omega sci-fi dude, lift as we climb, right? But more importantly, like I just know what I didn't have.
Well, all respect, ladies and gentlemen.
Bro.
Mr. Jake Zweig. Please follow him. Shout out your YouTube and any of your socials.
So YouTube, everything is easy, dog. Just my name, Jake, Zweig. Jake Zweig, after my grandfather Zweig. Jake Zweig. Instagram's 1911 at the end. But if you just put in my name, everything's going to come up YouTube. My email is jake.zweig@gmail. I've been doing some public speaking again. Don't ask me what happened, but some cats been calling me. I've been dropping fire. We got a couple of them talks about to hit YouTube. If you guys want me to come speak, just let me know. Reach out to me on my email. You can text me. My phone number's all over the internet too. I don't really care. Just don't call me out of the blue. You better text me first because I will blow your head off if you just call me like you know me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jake Zweig.